So here is the code, okay, so that we need, okay, to set up chunk options for all the chunks that we will be creating. So this is your default set of options. And here are the options that we have, and I have a PDF file of that. Let's look at that PDF file. Okay, so these are the, so here the bullet points that you see, right? So those are the options that we can set, and these options are set separated by commas. So here init r colon colon ops chunk dollar set. Okay, so now this is what's going to set the default options for all the chunks. Okay, so echo true means whatever code that you have in the chunk, that code will be printed along with the results. But if you say echo is false, the code will not be printed, but the results will be printed. Okay, and here are some more options. So results equal to height will suppress the text output, and then you have some figure height and figure width that you can set for all the chunks. Okay, so echo is true or false for source code. There is some typo here. Okay, and then include. Okay, so there is include and eval are two things that you need to understand what they mean. Eval means whether to execute or not. If you say eval is false, then the chunk will not be executed. But include true or false, okay, if you say include false, the chunk will be executed, but it will not be included in your init PDF file. When you render it, it will not get rendered. So that's what that is. Okay, and you have warning and messages. You can suppress warnings. Then warning, you'll see the warning when you run the code, but then when you init and create your PDF, those warning messages will not be in the PDF. And messages the same thing, all messages. It's not just warning messages. Okay, so you can keep going like that, right? Message equal to, so when you type, it's going to prompt you. If it doesn't prompt, then that means there is some problem. So true or false. Okay. So this is how you set the options for all the chunks. Okay. Now, if you create another chunk, Control Alt I, okay, so now you can go ahead and override the defaults by entering your options here with after R. Okay, if you don't have anything, if you have just R, then the options that you set up with the set chunk ops underscore chunk dollar set, those options will apply. Okay, so you don't have to put anything here, but if you want to override, like for example, if you don't want echo, then you can say echo equal to false. Then for that one chunk alone, right, the code will not be echoed back. So let's see. Okay, let's set up a little code here, and RStudio comes with a bunch of data sets already included in it. Okay, and cars is one of them. So I don't have to read it in; it's already there. Okay, so I'm saying create a summary of. Okay, now I'm going to run this Control-Shift-Enter. So there are two columns in this data set. So I have the speed and the distance, the summary of that, right? Okay. So now if I go and knit, okay, so what's going to happen when I click knit, it's going to run all the chunks, right? Well, first it will save the file. So if you've not saved it, it will save it. And then it will run the entire file, and then it will generate the document in the format you want. And it's the default here that we have set is HTML document. So if I click knit, okay, it's going to go through, and then it will create that. Okay, so here is the document. Okay, so echo is true. So here I have the summary, but because echo is false for that chunk, the code did not get printed out. Okay, suppose if I remove that, okay, if I say like that, and then one other thing I can do is I don't want to see this default printing out, right? So where is that? Well, I don't know where it went. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I want to suppress this, and I want to put the code here. Okay, so then what I can do is here say include equal to false, right? So that means it will run, the chunk will run, but it will not be included in the report. Okay, and here I have removed echo equal to false override. Okay, so now if I run the knit, now you see that this code, which was there before, is no longer there because we have said include equal to false. Okay, and here we have removed echo equal to false, and therefore the code appears here. So that's the code, and that's the output for that code. Okay, so chunk level options override. Okay, so this should go here, I guess. Well, now for a set of code to not be executed, then you will say, suppose if I copy that, and let's say x is 5, and we want to print x. But now if I say eval equal to false, then that code will not be executed at all. Okay. So there is no answer for x. And it printed because echo is true, so it is printing the code, but it did not execute. So if you want to completely suppress, then you can say include equal to false, then it won't even appear. Okay. And then one last thing, here we can have inline R code expression. So here, let's say I'm going to insert a chunk, Control Alt I. Suppose if I say X is 10, and I want to print the, here is an example of inline R code expression. The average car speed is, oh, well, here average speed is 15.4, so let's say 15.4, and I should have executed that, so X will be set to 15.4. Then if I, okay, if I do this, see, remember we are not inside a code chunk, right? The tick mark, the tick is to the left of the number 1 key, okay, and then you have to do shift. No shift, so it's just regular. So the key to the left of 1, and when you type that, it puts 2. So the ending tick is also there. So then you do R and then the variable name. So now if you knit, you see here in place of X we have 15.4 printed. Okay. So this is inline R code. 3 ticks. Okay. The best way, the quick way to insert chunk is Alt, Control Alt, okay, I. So now that will set you up for the chunk, and then you put the chunk in between.